Coming up, it's aviation's big night.
Woo!
The R.A. Bob Hoover Awards, honoring the best, the brightest, and those who make us the most safe. We'll take you there.
Plus, a fly-in in Florida, how to navigate your medical situation in the event of an oops, and more in just a moment. An exuberant conclusion to a fantastic evening. Wednesday night was the 6th annual Bob Hoover Trophy Awards ceremony. This year in a historic signature hangar at Reagan National Airport. And Tom, you were there. I understand it was pretty special.
It was very special, yeah. We had a great crowd and some really great awards. And as you saw, and you'll see more, Wally Funk did an amazing job of engaging the audience as well as the others. So it was really a special night. I think the nicest one we've had of all of the Hoover Trophy presentations. And for Wally Funk, our top honoree, the excitement began as soon as she walked into the hangar and spied a Stearman on display.
Oh, this is my airplane! Woo!
Yes, Wally Funk owned and taught in a Stearman for a number of years. In fact, one that looked just like that. She loved doing aerobatics, and Wally, of course, is the winner of the AOPA R.A. Bob Hoover Trophy. We'll have much more on her and the Hoover Trophy in just a minute. But there were also honors for some other incredible aviators, and Warren was at the event. Tell us, Warren, what were your impressions?
Well, I thought it was a great venue. It was a great event, hosted by our president, Mark Baker,
right,
and of course the always enthusiastic Sean D. Tucker.
Yes.
Great airshow performer, great host. And it was a different location because of COVID restrictions. Right. And also because of COVID restrictions, we had 2 Sharpless Awards this year because we weren't able to give out the 2021 last year.
For more than 20 years, Dewey Davenport has been a true GA ambassador, especially throughout the Midwest. He's an accomplished aviator, but Dewey will be the first one to say that his biggest victories is lie in the future of aviators, which he has introduced through a lot of this passion that we all have. Dewey's passion for aviation and commitment is inspiring the next generation, and successful advocacy efforts made him the perfect choice for the 2021 Lawrence P. Sharpless Award.
I've been so blessed to actually share that passion with everybody. Back where I live, I've flown thousands of people. I barnstorm. I'm probably the only African-American barnstormer in the world. And I've flown over 8,000 people in my airplanes. And I've flown probably over 100,000 skydivers. I flew Navy SEALs. I did experimental drops with the military. It was quite an experience. Then I went into the airlines. But through all that time, I was doing speeches with kids in elementary, junior high, high school, and colleges. And I still do that today. I speak with the summer camps, aviation summer camps, and air camps in Dayton, Ohio.
The 2022 Sharpless Award winner was Tony Restaino. The 44-year AOPA member is the Airport Support Network volunteer for the North Perry Airport in the greater Miami area.
And Tony made it his mission to protect and promote his home base. One of the first to become an AOPA Airport Support Network volunteer, Tony has helped beat back several attempts to close his airport.
All I could say is such an honor to be recognized by AOPA, friends of mine for 44 years.
Now, Tom, of course, both Tony and Dewey are Airport Support Network volunteers, and they are so important to our efforts. I mean, the Airport Support Networks are our eyes and ears on the airports. They're the ones that alert us when something is developing on the airport and something where we might need to step in. And of course, both Dewey and Tony have done things to help save their airports. So very important. And for people, if they don't have an Airport Support Network volunteer at their airport, well, then maybe they should volunteer.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find a lot of information on our website about the Airport Support Network volunteer program and what it is that you can do, perhaps, to help your airport. Meanwhile, the AOPA Sharpless Award is for civilians, so to speak. There's another important award for a political government leader who has done good work for general aviation.
This This is a very important award to AOPA. As you know, we are all about the freedom to fly. But this freedom is only protected when we're here and valued allies on Capitol Hill who understand the importance of general aviation to our nation and local communities. You know, this fellow is, I consider, a friend. He's been a great leader for us in the GA caucus, Rick Larson from the great state of Washington.
So my home state of Washington and frankly across the country, general aviation means jobs. And those jobs are key to long-term economic growth and recovery in the United States. General aviation also helps businesses succeed, which is very important. GA helps serve as a transportation lifeline for communities. And GA supports critical aid for communities in states of emergency. So you have a very important role to play, Mark, and your members. And as chair of the committee, I continue to be focused on delivering the resources that GA airports need to thrive and to keep our local economies moving.
So our congratulations to Representative Larson. These folks in Congress who help us out are really important.
They are definitely important to all the things we're able to accomplish on the Hill.
Indeed. Of course, another really significant award was the Brigadier General Charles McGee Inspiration Award.
Right.
This year it went to Glenn Gonzalez. It's someone that you know.
I do. I've known Glenn for a while. He's the co-founder actually of JetIt, a company that's using mostly Honda jets for kind of an innovative fractional ownership program. But most interestingly, General McGee was a mentor for him. Glenn was a fighter pilot like General McGee, and they got to know each other. And as Glenn relayed to us last night, the General McGee was there for him every change in his career. McGee was there to support him and to be there for him, and became a real mentor for him. So it was wonderful to see.
Every single career move that I made, transitioning from flying T-38s to flying fighters to flying Gulfstreams to selling Honda jets to starting my own business at JetIt, every single step, General McGee was there, coaching, leading, mentoring, inspiring. I pray to God that I'm able to fly and to live and to touch as many people. I pray to God that I can live up to this award.
So Glenn really is following in the footsteps of General McGee and paying it forward, and that's what we really need in aviation.
Right. Yeah, very, very nice to see, and congratulations to Glenn and everybody at JetIt for the work that they've done down there. But hey, the big top award is, of course, the AOPA RA Bob Hoover Trophy for an aviator who has best demonstrated Bob's airmanship, leadership, mentorship, and passion for aviation. And I can say that without question, Wally Funk is at the top of the passion scale.
I have had an absolutely fabulous life in aviation. I started when I was 2 years old, going to a DC three-wheel. The folks had taken me out to some airport. And Mother said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to check the nut on this wheel and to see if it's tight."
There never was any doubt that Wally was going to fly. She got a bunch of ratings while at Oklahoma State, and at age 20, she was instructing officers and enlisted men at Fort Sill. She was the first female to become an FAA inspector, then the first female to be an NTSB accident investigator. And while she has been a legend among aviators for decades, the general public got to know her when she went into space last summer on Blue Origin, at the time the oldest person to go to space.
I've been waiting a long time to finally get it up there, and I've done a lot of astronaut training through the world, Russia, America, and I could always beat the guys.
And through nearly 8 decades of flying, she has been a teacher and mentor to thousands.
I was a 21-year-old intern with the National Transportation Safety Board. I walked in with suitcase in hand, and the third person I met was Wally Funk. And she ended up being one of the greatest mentors I had, not only at the board, but just in life.
Take a look at the things in her life where doors were closed, and mostly because being a woman, but yet she found a way to make her dreams happen.
So she really is an inspiration to many of us. I know I got to spend some time with her in the last few days, and it was amazing. She is so high energy, 82 years old. I literally could not keep up with her when we were walking around on the sidewalks around D.C. In the last couple of days. And Warren, I know you got to go to her house for that interview segment.
Yeah, I went and saw her in Texas. Of course, her house is just filled with memorabilia.
Right.
One of the stories that Wally told, which she told it last night, and she's also told it before, was she talked about instructing in her steerman,
right,
and that she would climb out of the cockpit and stand beside the student, because back then they didn't have an intercom, and so she would stand beside the student and tell them, what they were to do. And she said that one time she landed and the tower asked her to call them, and she called the tower, and the tower said, "Wally, stay in the airplane."
Not something you hear every day from a controller.
No, it isn't. But of course, and also the whole Hoover event is going to be available on our YouTube channel,
right,
so you can watch everything there.
Yeah, well worth watching. Particularly Wally's segment was very funny, and she's amazing.
She is indeed.
Our Hoover Trophy winner, Wally Funk, has received a lot of well-deserved recognition lately. Also, this week, the National Air and Space Museum presented her with the Michael Collins Trophy, and last week, the National Aeronautic Association honored Wally with the Stinson Trophy at the Women in Aviation International Conference. The award recognizes someone who has made major contributions to women in aviation and space-related fields. More than 4,000 people came to WAI in Nashville last week. One of the highlights, Girls in Aviation Day. The girls built and flew paper airplanes, built scale airports, worked with VFR sectional charts, and more.
And thousands of people came out to the Gainesville Regional Airport in Florida for the Gator Fly-In and Armed Services Appreciation Day. The event honored all branches of the military and included aircraft displays, children's activities, airplane rides, and more. Air Safety Institute Senior Vice President and former U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds lead Richard McSpadden came to the event to welcome guests. And while he was there, Richard talked to retired Air Force Colonel Joseph Kittinger. Kittinger made a remarkable career. He was a POW in Vietnam and then went on to fly as an Air Force test pilot. In 1960, he jumped from a high-altitude balloon, setting 4 world records.
I have to ask you, out of all the things that you've done in your just remarkable career, is there any one that just really stands out as even you can't believe you did that?
Well, I spent 29 years in the Air Force. 12 years in the research and development business, working for aviators and astronauts, 17 years as a pilot. But the highlight of my life was my jump from 102,800 feet. And the reason is because today, every ejection system in the world uses the stabilization system we developed back in 1959, 1960. So what we did then is still being used today.
Oh, so what a legacy.
That makes us all very proud of what we did.
Amazing. Colonel Kittinger also has been an AOPA member for 40 years. You can read his whole story in his autobiography called Come Up and Get Me.
Air show season is just getting started. We're less than 2 weeks away from the Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo in Lakeland, Florida. The U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds will perform this year along with a ton of other airshow acts. AOPA will be there, and we have a Sun and Fun ticket discount for AOPA members. Save $30 on a weekly ticket or $5 on a daily ticket. Learn more at the link there on your screen. After the break, what to do if you have one.
Plus some cool features from 4Flight. Back in a snap.
My name is Savannah Rasky, and I have about 600 hours. I currently hold my commercial single-engine land and sea ratings with an instrument add-on. I've been in the Air National Guard for about 9 years, so being an enlisted member, I knew that I wanted to continue a career in the Air Force, but I wanted to do it as an officer flying for the greatest force in our military. Fortunately, I was picked up to fly the F-35 for Montgomery, Alabama. So I own a Piper Cherokee 6 260, and we also have this Aztec right here, which I'm going to be doing my multi-training in. I use SiriusXM Aviation Weather because it gives me an added confidence in the kind of weather that I'm going to be flying into on long cross countries, from Florida to Utah and back multiple times, up to Oshkosh, back down. And so having a weather system like SiriusXM that I can rely on gives me a lot of confidence as a pilot.
Welcome back. General aviation is essential for transportation in Alaska. Much of the state is only accessible by air, Flying in Alaska is especially challenging due to extreme weather and terrain. To help pilots traverse the state, the FAA has charted passes through large mountain ranges. The FAA is adding 2 new charted passes and considering the removal of another one. And we're joined now by Adam White from the Alaska Airmen's Association. Adam, what changes are taking place and what's it all mean for pilots?
Well, so we've been able to get 2 new passes on the charts with this latest charting cycle, which is a big thing for us. Some of these passes that we have on the charts have been somewhat problematic through the years. Just because they're labeled doesn't necessarily mean they're the safest route through some of these mountain ranges here in Alaska especially. So these 2 new passes, with the help of AOPA and several others of us here in the Alaska aviation industry, been able to get some new things on the charts. It's been nice to see.
Yeah, I'm sure pilots will welcome that. And I understand that the change is part of a broader industry and FAA effort to improve the information available to pilots there in Alaska. What's all that look like?
Yeah, so folks may have heard of the FAA Safety Initiative. So as a result of NTSB recommendation to the FAA, especially here in Alaska. And this is just a small part of some of these recommendations that have come out from the FAA. And they're working with us in industry to find out what our biggest needs are and what are some of our safety desires and enhancements. And so this is just a small part of this. ADSB is a part of this infrastructure. A lot of other concepts and parts of this whole process that we're hoping to see move forward here.
Yeah, it sounds like some great programs. What is it that pilots can do to help?
Well, first thing we need to do is people need to update their charts. That's always an uphill battle, but now with digital charts, it's a much easier thing to do. So we need people to use the current charts, see these new passes that are being put and depicted on the sectionals, and let us know what they think, if there's new charts or new passes they'd like to see, or if there's actually some information that may not need to be on the charts anymore. We're also looking to clean up some of these lesser used and maybe not as safe routes through the mountain passes.
Yeah. What's a good way to communicate that information to you and the FAA and others?
So yeah, the FAA does have a process, part of the whole FASI, the FAA Safety Initiative. There is a process there to offer feedback to the FAA. As always, you can look at your the side panel of your sectional chart and submit information to the FAA charting folks to be able to update that information on the chart. And of course, you can always reach out to AOPA or the Alaska Airmen's Association, and we can add that to the list of many things that we're doing.
All right. Thanks, Adam. I know you've been involved with the organization for a very long time and been doing great work up there on behalf of pilots and your cohort from AOPA, Tom George, same thing, working hard up there on behalf of pilots. So thank you for your support.
Well, it's great to have this partnership between the 2 organizations, and we definitely are more effective as a team, for sure.
Absolutely. You can read more about the changes in Alaska on our website. An advocate for general aviation Alaska has flown west. U.S. Representative Don Young died on March 18th. Don was the lower chamber's oldest and longest serving member. He cared deeply about general aviation and the freedom to fly in the United States. Representative Young was 88 years old.
The East Hampton Town Council is still determined to cripple their local airport. It all stems from noise complaints by wealthy homeowners nearby. You may remember last month the council had what they thought was a clever idea: close the airport and then reopen it as a private use, prior permission required airport. They postponed that plan following a media frenzy, 3 lawsuits, and pressure from the FAA. The township is still proposing restrictions like curfews, limits to commercial operations, and phasing out aircraft that use leaded avgas. It's not clear how those restrictions will be implemented and if the town can even legally enforce them. Town officials asked for comments on the proposals. AOPA and other industry groups invited the officials to work together with the aviation industry, the FAA, and neighboring communities on solutions that actually can be implemented. And a popular airport out west will temporarily close next month. Jackson Hole Airport in Wyoming will undergo a $44 million airport improvement project, including a full runway reconstruction. That means the airport will close April 11th and reopen June 28th. The closure means an unprecedented amount of traffic for nearby airports, especially Idaho's Driggs-Reed Memorial Airport. To prepare for the high traffic volume, AOPA worked with the FBO at Driggs Teton Aviation Center on a NOTAM and prior permission required program. Pilots flying to Driggs while Jackson Hole is closed will need to call ahead and make a reservation. Find out more on the Teton Aviation Center website.
Want to track your progress in flight training and learn areas in which you can improve through simulator-based lessons? Our friends at Redbird show us there's an app for that.
Redbird Pro is an app designed to help you maintain and improve your proficiency as a pilot. We offer a VFR version and an IFR version. Both of them have 30-day free trials. It's built on a couple of really simple ideas. One, objectively track and measure your performance as a pilot, and then focus on content and training designed to help you improve your weakest areas. The first thing you'll notice when you get into the app is your Pro Score. It's made up of 9 components like aeronautical decision-making, stick and rudder, and navigation. It helps you understand where you are as a pilot and where you need to improve. Your Pro Score is used to generate your training plan. Your training plan is made up of training tasks, scenarios and skills you would fly in a simulator, and articles. The articles are there to help you build your knowledge and improve your understanding of aviation. Let's go ahead and jump into a flight. The first thing we'll notice is an overview tab, which gives us the starting point and the mission that we need to accomplish on this flight. From there, we can see the flight with all the details associated with it. If we don't happen to be near a Redbird simulator, we can click on Chair Flight, and that'll give us a video showing a Redbird pilot walking through that flight, so we can actually get the lesson without being in the simulator. After you complete your flight, you'll get a debrief with a score and a video from an expert CFI to help reinforce the lesson you just learned. The score you get on that flight will be used to update your Pro Score and generate a new training plan. Your Pro Score and training plan follows you as a pilot, always pushing you to improve. The controls are yours. Download Redbird Pro today.
And if you use ForeFlight, check out the latest release. There are 2 new pre-flight safety features, weight and balance and hazard advisories. The new weight and balance tool lets users enter standard weights and saved loads, and it graphically depicts each airplane's loaded weight and center of gravity. The hazard advisory graphically illustrates high terrain and incorporates an altitude slider to help pilots visualize and plan routes through mountainous regions. Also, ForeFlight this week increased subscription fees for all of its tiers.
Breaking news, AOPA social media marketer Kevin Cortez can't catch a break. He went skiing and wound up with a distal radius fracture. His next concern was what it would do to his medical, so he called the AOPA Pilot Information Center.
Because I legit have no idea where this leaves me and what the process is to getting back to flying, so let's find out together.
How are you?
So this is a legit question that I have. I ended up breaking my part of the top of my radius snowboarding, and ended up having to get surgery, got a plate in, and basically I don't know where that leaves me with my medical and flying and all that. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
So where would that put me?
Okay, so 6153, okay, FAR 6153, any known medical deficiency and or medication keeps you from safely operating your aircraft. So there's nothing that says broken arm as a no, but you have to be able to manipulate controls, and of course medications. You know that.
Yeah.
Any medication that would make you sleepy, tired, not lots of those pain meds do that, are no-go.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It does not demand that you go back to see your AME.
Okay.
You're self-assessing.
That is
So when you're
super
when
elite.
your doctor says.
Alright, just to recap, it's basically a self-assessment at this point. Obviously, I'm assessing no to fly right now. So I get to actually go see my doctor next week and figure out what the timeline is for recovery, and then from there go, ask her when she thinks I'm going to be 100%, and then, obviously decide myself when it gets there.
You can see the whole video about the process on our YouTube channel. AOPA members can reach the medical certification team in the Pilot Information Center at 1-800-USA-AOPA during business hours.
And that's our show for this week. Thanks for spending some time with us.
And we would love for you to take the time to consider joining AOPA if you're not already a member. Find out more at the link on your screen. We'll see you back here next week.